We'll just do a check and play it back and see what it sounds like. We might need to turn it up a little bit. Why don't you go ahead and talk from where you're going to be talking from?
Okay. I'm right here.
Yeah, I need to...
Check.
Check.
Kelly, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, alien shootout.
Hello and happy Saturday to everybody. This is Jeremiah
And Ashley.
with Hill Shadows, and welcome to our first official podcast. Something we've been wanting to do for a little while. We've already got our channel up, and we've both been pretty fascinated with the whole Sasquatch topic. And aside from Sasquatch, there are quite a few other things we're interested
Just
in.
the unknown.
Yeah, basically anything unexplainable. And being from Kentucky, you know, there's no shortage of strange occurrences and weird phenomenon. Growing up, you hear about a lot of things, and you know, a lot of hauntings and a lot of Bigfoot sightings. And another one of the bigger stories, which we're going to talk about tonight, is the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter.
Alien encounter.
That's correct, alien encounter. And this occurred in 1955, right here in Kentucky, near Kelly and Hopkinsville in Christian County. And absolutely fascinating tale. I've heard about this most of my life, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So welcome to the podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe. We're going to be doing this every week, along with other videos where we actually go out and explore and look for weird stuff. So
Come hang out with us.
definitely come check it out. Come like the Hill Shadows page on Facebook, subscribe to the channel, make sure you get all the updates. And let's go ahead and get into this. So just covering it, this happened on August 21st in 1955. So it's been 66 years ago. There were 7 people, 5 adults. Actually, I'm sorry, that's 12 people, 5 adults and 7 children, that came to a Hopkinsville police station claiming that they had seen some small alien creatures that came from a spaceship, and these things were allegedly attacking their farmhouse. And they had been holding these things off with gunfire for about 4 hours. So the two of the adults, Elmer Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor, claim they had been shooting at 12 to 15 short, dark figures who repeatedly popped up at the doorway or would peer into the windows. And I believe you had said that these things did not pose a direct threat, correct?
No, well, I believe the family had been having dinner, and
Okay.
Billy Ray Sutton, the son, I believe it's the son, was going to go out to get water for a few of the family members. And
That would have been Billy Ray Taylor, correct?
oh, okay. Well, Billy Ray.
Or Billy
So
Ray,
he
yeah. How many can you have?
as he was outside getting water, he says that he saw something flying through the sky with a trail of colors, like all colors of the rainbow behind it. And supposedly landed in their yard approximately 300 feet from the farmhouse. Goes back inside, tells the family, and the I think I can't remember if it was Dad or Lucky went outside with them, and
Lucky also is Elmer Sutton, his nickname.
yeah,
I
he is a
was
Sutton.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he saw the craft as well, I believe. And then the creatures.
And what did these things supposedly look like?
They were really short,
Says
gray,
what, 2 to 4
very
feet?
large eyes, that glowed yellow, Their eyes glowed yellow, and they had really long arms. Do you know any more about that?
It says they had large pointed ears,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
claw-like hands,
Mm-hmm.
and another thing I see is pretty interesting is spindly legs later, which appeared in various media. Uh, it looks like some people tried to explain it away by saying these men perhaps were intoxicated and um
So supposedly the mother absolutely did not allow alcohol in her home. That's supposed
okay.
to be false.
So that sounds like some hogwash then, huh?
Well, they've just tried to make it
It
a
looks like
joke.
a psychologist by the name of Rodney Schmaltz cite that it was an example of pseudoscience and an extraordinary claim. And this guy, Rodney Schmaltz, said it is plausible, if not likely, that the aliens were great horned owls, seen as in this picture I'm showing. And there is some evidence that the eyewitnesses may have been intoxicated during the alien attack, which clearly was not the case if the mother did not allow alcohol in the house.
Well, aside from that, what about all the little kids that were there? All the kids that saw these things. They weren't drinking,
Right.
regardless, even if the adults were. These kids were not. And there were several of them that saw
Well,
the
yeah,
creatures
aside
as well.
from that, that doesn't explain away
Also,
the UFO, right?
if it's just some owls that they saw, why did the local police show up, the state police show up, the military Air Force showed up? The day later, 4 Fort Campbell military men showed up. Or no, maybe this was the same day that the Fort Campbell military men showed up, almost instantly. And then a day later, a no-name government agency showed up in civilian clothing, asking questions as well. If it's just owls, I just don't feel like there would be such a heavy presence of officers and military.
Like government employees,
Yeah,
correct?
thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Government officials. Yeah.
Another thing I found pretty interesting when looking this up was the goblins or whatever you call them, the alien creatures. And I'm having trouble finding this now, but apparently these things would they would say that gremlins would take down these planes during World War II. And a lot of people would write it off as just mechanical failure or maybe even being shot down by the enemy, but they would find out that the enemy would go through very similar things. And
Where? Where was it? Where did this happen? Supposedly.
well, hold on, I will tell you. I found it on this site right here. But yeah, they were gremlins is what they called them. And I don't know how it even got started overseas, but I'm looking here at goblins, which is also interesting. Because they call these small, grotesque, monstrous creatures that appear in the folklore of multiple European cultures, first attested in stories from the Middle Ages. They are ascribed conflicting abilities, temperaments, and appearances depending on the story and country of origin, varying from mischievous household spirits to malicious, bestial thieves. They often have magic abilities similar to a fairy or demon, such as the ability to shapeshift.
Are you suggesting that these things are what the Sutton family encountered?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And one thing I find
different.
fascinating about this case is you get a ton of UFO sightings or UAP sightings, and a lot of people like to theorize that perhaps these things are coming from us, or maybe they're human in origin somehow.
Coming from us.
Right, like we reverse engineered these things.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry.
But anyway, this is just one case where, without a doubt, there were actual, what you would call aliens.
Right. So they
seen
said
with the UFO.
Yeah. Supposedly, like when these things would start coming out of the woods at them, at the family, they would shoot them and hit them, and they would fall back and get right back up running. How they had their hands up though, so it wasn't like they were like
Sound like
posing
they were,
a threat. They weren't like being
probably
violent.
it found themselves in some kind of trouble, right?
Possibly, because it seems like I remember reading somewhere that maybe earlier that day or later, it's sometime close within a day or two of the Sutton family, that there was maybe another crash, UFO crash or something. Maybe I should have looked that up a bit more before starting this podcast, but I didn't. But it seems like I remember something like that.
Interestingly enough, it looks like Wikipedia also says that the 1986 comedy horror film Critters is loosely based on the Kelly Hopkinsville case.
I don't know that I've watched that, honestly.
I did see
What year did you say it came out? What year is Critters?
Critters is like was 86. This
Okay, yeah. I was like
yeah.
2.
Yeah, that's probably why. And it looks like they actually got the name Little Green Men. It looks like that they started calling that the day following the sighting. Local reporters called the creatures Little Green Men.
But they weren't little green men.
Right,
They were
right.
very adamant about that. They were not green men. They were gray.
And I'm not gonna say what character, but there's also a pretty popular character that was made that supposedly came from the description of these
You
creatures.
talking about Phone Home?
No,
No? Oh.
I'm not. I'm talking about an animated movie. but I'm not gonna-
Oh.
Right.
Why would you not want to say that?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
I don't know. That doesn't matter. It had pointed ears.
It did have pointed ears, and I've also heard that these pointed ears could have been some type of like
Horn
headgear, right?
Oh, headgear?
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
think I've
sure.
heard this. Yeah, I believe they said that perhaps it could have been something they were wearing on their head.
Oh, one of the witnesses that saw like the place where supposedly the craft landed
Mhm.
said that it looked like a razor had been taken to the ground and like shaved everything away from the earth. Like it was just earth left there, like no grass. There was nothing left there.
See, I find that interesting
I do
too,
too.
because there are other cases. I mean, one that comes to my mind is the Dyatlov Pass case in Russia, where those hikers were all found dead,
Okay.
and supposedly those treetops were burned in that
Oh.
area.
Huh.
So it's you hear about the damage done by these things in various
Yeah, but that's
things.
different. Like that's well, I guess we don't know
Like,
what
it
that
could
was
be
there in
similar.
the Russian case.
I mean, probably based on the speed of these things.
You know what else is a
travel
little?
along.
I don't know why I just thought about this. With alien related, anyways. Those people in Russia, like some of them were found with their eyes missing or their tongue ripped out.
Right, yeah.
So
We'll have to go. over
doesn't that
one
happen
sometime.
often with like animal mutilations? Like their tongue be gone, ripped
Right,
out, or
yeah.
cut out, and their eyes as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing.
And that is alien related. So I don't know, because I always just kind of assumed that the Russian thing was Bigfoot. But-
I mean, one of the things that makes that such a convincing theory is one of the pictures that was taken, I think. But there are a lot of people that would say that Bigfoot and UFOs are seen,
simultaneous,
at
like
the
it's
same, in
yeah,
very close quarters,
right. Not
They
necessarily
kind of go
simultaneous, they
hand
go
in hand,
together,
right? Like where you see one, you might
Right,
see another.
right.
I see here a ufologist by the name of Jerome Clark also wrote that he supposed that these supposed creatures floated through the trees, and the sound of bullets striking them resembled bullets striking a metal bucket.
When they would hit the creatures.
Right. Clark describes an odd luminous patch along a fence where one of the beings had been shot, and in the woods beyond, a green light whose source could not be determined. However, this description was consistent with foxfire, a bioluminescent fungus on decaying wood. Sounds to me like these people are just trying to discredit these folks every chance they get. Now, I've lived in Kentucky all my life, as you have, I think, right?
Yeah, I've always lived in
I've never seen bioluminescent fungus illuminating anything in the woods. I would have remembered that. I would have definitely remembered that.
You know,
and I feel like you try to throw in the whole owl hypotheses and the whole glowing fungus thing. It's kind of just silly. Like, first of all, what kind of great horned owl is gonna fight you when you have a gun for 4 hours? Like, I don't want to run
get
into
shot
that
and
owl.
get right back up and come towards you.
I don't want no part of those owls.
Right.
I will go ahead and tell you, people, if we had owls like that here in Kentucky, I would be indoors all the time. I would not be outside.
You know, so they say that this family fought off these creatures for 4 hours, right?
Right.
And when they got a chance, they all loaded up in the family vehicle and went to the police station.
And these were people who wouldn't go to the police station.
Right. They would not. They would handle things on their own. But clearly they couldn't. They were not accomplishing anything. All right. So they went to the police at 11 at night. However, and the police came out, right? And said that there was evidence that there had been a shootout. And that, the spot on the ground, but that wasn't investigated in any way. So the family, I guess the police leave, whatever. The family goes back to their house. And the alien things were still there. Like,
so they were still there when
the
they
last
came back.
alien was seen, or creature, I'm sorry, the last creature was seen at 5:15 a.m. And if they went to the police station at 11, where were they at when the police showed up there?
That's a good question. Like, the police would have
Right,
seen
when
the
they seen
owls,
something.
right?
I mean, these things were like trying to get in the house. They were on the porch, looking in the windows. Maybe even on top of the house. I could be wrong about that. But
Afraid of people. It sounds like a chance encounter to me. Just, like
maybe something happened. They needed some kind of resource of some kind.
Their ship went down on them. That's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it, but
I mean, I don't feel like aliens have any business in Hopkinsville. I don't know. I feel like they probably were flying over and just ended up being there. We break down in our vehicles. Maybe it's a similar thing.
Right.
I mean, they do have good technology, but maybe it's still flawed in some way. So yeah, maybe it just boils down to them crash landing in Hopkinsville. Car trouble, yeah. They have vehicle problems, and apparently they didn't have AAA. I mean, they had nobody to come to their rescue, so these folks, the Suttons, just happened to be right there. So knock. We need to phone home, man.
Like, I wonder what would have happened had they not shot at them.
I don't know, but I tell you what,
to find out what they wanted.
I grew up in the 90s and drove before I had a cell phone, and there was a time or two that I had to pull a gremlin and knock on somebody's door, man. And I'm glad they didn't shoot at me.
Right.
I would hate to do it this day and age, but yeah, I think that's probably what happened. It sounds like they got into a mess of trouble, and something in their anti-gravity propulsion system just malfunctioned. They went down, and these poor guys that probably had never been out of Hopkinsville got a visit from some things not from this planet, which sounds pretty cool.
Right.
I mean, in the past 8 months we've seen several strange looking aircraft ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I have never seen anything that I couldn't identify in the sky
I think it's
until
hilarious
the last year.
that the government has released all this information and you still get people that laugh at it and think it's such a joke and stuff. Like, how much attention are you actually paying?
I mean,
I think it's one reason I wanted to start this channel is just because I get so tired of people asking me if I'm on drugs or something, man. Like, if I tell you
that's the
something,
worst.
you can take it to the bank. I'm not a liar. You know, and if I was gonna make something up, I'd probably tell you I've seen a Sasquatch.
Or telling you that
I'm
you're
not
on
gonna-
drugs because you've seen
Right.
something that you can't
Yeah.
explain. So you must be on something.
I'm just looking. That's the difference in me and them. And I think that's the difference in them and a lot of people. If you're looking
Yeah.
for something, you know, if you don't ever look up, you're probably not ever gonna see a UFO or UAP or whatever you want to call it, because they're above you in the sky, and they're there.
Well, I mean, we're
They're
really
there.
trained almost to like look down all the time.
Well, yeah, the 40-hour work week and you know, sports on the weekend keeps everybody so busy. Nobody's really paying attention, and the ones that are get criticized and talk crazy. They talk to like they're crazy people, and truth be told, they're the ones that have it together the most, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed the tale of the Hopkinsville gremlins or goblins, whatever
There's
you
more
want to
to
call
that,
them.
but
Well, what else do you got? I mean, you can add some.
well, I wasn't gonna go into it right now.
Okay.
I was just saying.
I mean, how much more is there? I mean, in the end, I
mean,
did see, you know, where it was classified as a hoax, which is unfortunate.
It's not, the family still talks about it.
But it was actually portrayed in the popular show Project Blue Book.
Of course, they're gonna
As
try to
a
make it
hoax.
like it's a joke.
Right.
It wasn't anything. I believe the family. I believe
And
the story.
so did
I think it's-
the Men in Black show up for all this? Were they there? Did they pop on the scene?
I told you that.
They did, right?
2 no-name government
Okay.
agencies
See, there you go.
showed up in civilian clothing the next day,
I think anytime-
asking a bunch of questions.
Anytime you get civilian clothed people that don't identify who they're with, yeah, you probably seen something you're not supposed to see.
I mean, like I said, the Air Force showed up.
Yeah, that makes you wonder
State police, local police.
why would they want to cover this up like that?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they said that 4 of the Fort Campbell military men showed up almost immediately because the sheriff, when they went to the police station,
They probably knew.
the sheriff came and said that he was going to make some calls, and clearly, whoever he called, like, there was immediate military presence.
Right, a very quick response
Yeah.
time.
That's not for nothing.
No, that threw a red flag up, and it's on somebody's radar.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
yeah.
you know, you hear about the Men in Black showing up to a lot of these things. Makes me wonder if I ever get good enough evidence, will I ever get to meet these dudes? I don't feel like you don't really hear too much about them like this day and age.
The Men in Black.
Right.
That's a whole other podcast right there.
Right.
Those people.
But it seems like all the stories that take place like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, like it's pretty big. Like you'll see the Men in Black show up, right? It's a pretty common thing for that period.
Yeah. If you guys would like a podcast about the Men in Black, maybe different stories people have had encounters.
Yeah, we gotta
leave a
come
comment.
up with something next week for you guys. We wanted to do this.
Or any other subject.
We wanted to record this on video, which we will probably do with the next ones. If not all of them, maybe some of them. But the weather did not permit tonight, so we're here in the studio. And thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Hill Shadows podcast. And we hope you've enjoyed talking with us about the Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins and we hope you tune in next week to hear more about the mysterious and unknown. And we'll look for some more things we can cover around the state of Kentucky, and eventually we'll go beyond that. And also, we'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys have any kind of cool stories, a lot of the coolest stuff you hear about is just from people who've had strange experiences themselves. I know I've had.
What
a
if
few.
there are people that would like to tell a story that don't want to just comment? How can they
Right.
contact you?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You can get a hold of us by sending an email to hillshadowsky@yahoo.com.
There you go.
Or you could also send a message to us on our Facebook page, or
Hill
comment
Shadows.
on a
That's
YouTube
all.
video. That's another way you could reach us.
That's what I was saying. If they don't want to comment on
Okay,
YouTube.
yeah. Other than the email, hillshadowsky@yahoo.com. That's how you can get a hold of us. Submit your stories, or if you just want to say hey, whatever, shoot us an email. And also, hit the subscribe button. Don't miss any videos, and check out some of the other stuff we got. And if you like it, hit the like button. And until next week, you guys have a good one. Stay strange out there. Until next time, this has been Jeremiah
Ashley.
with Hill Shadows.